This program is brought to you by Emory University.
On March 18, 2014, the Center for Faculty Development and Excellence at Emory University hosted a discussion titled MOOCs, Docs, and Hybrid Teaching. The speakers described their experiences with MOOCs, massive open online courses, and Docs, distributed open collaborative courses, and the impact, both positive and negative, of these controversial models of distance learning in higher education. The speakers were Adeline Ko, Director of the Digital Humanities Center and Assistant Professor of Literature at Richard Stockton College, and Elizabeth Losh, Director of the Culture, Art, and Technology Program at 6th College at the University of California, San Diego. In this video, Professor Ko describes her recent experience teaching a MOOC about digital humanities, her surprise at the level of student enthusiasm and engagement, but also the resistance she encountered within her institution.
Obviously, most of you understand the basic difference between a MOOC and a DOC, or a doc. A MOOC is basically content that is shared, but there's little interaction between professor and student. There's a lot of peer-to-peer grading, but very little interaction between the person who's perceived to have the authority and the knowledge and people who are actually receiving the knowledge. The doc, on the other hand, is this image shows, which I stole from the FemTechNet organization, shows that pedagogy and power centers are much more distributed, hence the name Distributed Online Collaborative Course. Keywords being distributed rather than top-down and collaborative. And one really good example is FemTechNet, which emphasizes the building of community rather than the delivery of content. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about my use of a MOOC that tried to be a DOC, which just ended actually. So this is Kathy Davidson's Future of Higher Education course. And this was running in Coursera, and it just completed last week or the week before. So I was teaching this course in a graduate seminar of mine, Masters of American Studies, and the course is called Introduction to Digital Humanities. So this is the first part of the course, and then we're going to talk more about digital humanities, methodologies, ideologies, pedagogies, techniques, tools, and all that in the second part of the course. So the Coursera MOOC is like a MOOC in terms of you sign up for the course, you get all the lectures delivered to you. But the key difference is that they are emphasizing the creation of a community, and one of the ways in which they're doing that is through creating pages and resources and wikis that are hosted with Haystack, and a lot of the assignments that are in the MOOC are about collaboration with people, posting resources to different people. So this is my course, and you can find the syllabus and a lot of the materials that I'm going to talk about on my class website. All the materials are public and open, it's just student data that's closed, and all you need to do is to plug in the tinyurl/codh, and you will find it. So what are some of the takeaways that I learned most from this course? Well, I think a lot of the richest parts of the content came really from the assignments that Kathy Davidson assigned within the MOOC. And the class basically started by asking students to come up with their own learning manifesto for the class. And so I did that. So we did all the things that she suggested. Have students come up with their own class manifesto. I had my students remixing the syllabus, which for them was very exciting because I had scared a lot of other students from the class because of my emphasis on learning technology in the class. So they were really excited to get to remix the syllabus. Surprisingly, they didn't make any changes other than slightly later deadlines for weekly blog posts. And also that students would come up with their own grading contracts that they would agree with as a class that would fit into their manifesto and the goals of your manifesto, and pass it by me, and we will have a negotiation of the grading contracts. So I was really, really impressed by what they came up with. And I asked Kathy before, is there anything that you would recommend to me to do when I'm asking my students to do these activities? And she said the most important thing for you to do is to leave the room. And the point in that is that you really have to give them the autonomy so that they believe that this is their space and they can develop a sense of accountability to themselves rather than to you, because it's not you imposing the system upon them, it's them consenting and making an agreement within the community about what they want to learn and what they're committing to. So I gave my students a few examples of a class manifesto, grading contracts from Kathy Davidson's previous classes, and they remixed them to fit their own purposes. What I really enjoy, so this is something that they wrote, that American Studies 5011 is an experimental graduate level course committed to identifying, evaluating, creating, and rethinking solutions to educational challenges that our changing society faces in the 21st century. We aim to seize opportunities to fully realize and harness the possibilities of 21st century literacies, which we define as the mindset, skills, and collaborative techniques needed to make full use of the internet as a space of learning. We believe that the internet and technology are changing how individuals and communities understand themselves and the world around them, and that this connected age offers a tremendous opportunity to make teaching, learning, and knowledge more accessible, more affordable, and more meaningful for everyone involved. And the last bit that I highlighted is my favorite part, where American Studies 5011's purpose is to examine the ways in which technology influences educational dynamics and to collaboratively propose and share new possibilities for the information age so that we, scholars, teachers, and students can best respond collectively to the challenges this new paradigm poses for learning. And the core of this manifesto really is that my students committed to collaboration. For them, collaboration was the most important aspect of their class. And this is highlighted in what they're doing, how they laid out their contract for grading as well. As they said, learning together and giving and receiving feedback is a core concept of the class. So they are giving accountability to each other. And what they did is that they will evaluate each other and submit evaluations of each other to me, which are then given to the student. And if the student performs unsatisfactory work, they will have to meet with the rest of the students to improve the work for the rest of the semester. The whole point of the class and the dynamic they decided was that they are in the class to learn how to better collaborate and to help each other. And that they found was the most important thing they thought for 21st century learning. And so they've also argued that for them, so they have different levels for what contracts to an A, what contracts to a B, what contracts to a C. And they said that the advantage here is really that the student gets to decide how much work they want to put into the class this semester, and that's going to determine what grade they get. So quickly, what's the result? So we just passed spring break, so this is my first time teaching this course this way. So I can't tell you what happens at the end because I don't know yet. But so far, I have been completely flabbergasted by how enthusiastic students are in this class, as well as how much responsibility they are taking for their own learning. The majority of my students that I work with generally expect class to be a drag, class to be me delivering content to them, not feeling very invested in the course material. Oh, this is just a requirement that I have to take in order to graduate. And these students are the level of empowerment that these exercises have given them have completely changed the environment of the class. They're enthusiastic, they report on it themselves, they admit when they don't do something on time or correctly, and they give each other suggestions. They are very helpful to one another. So this is the best classroom environment that I've ever experienced. It's also a small class, it's a graduate class, but it's the best, most collegial classroom environment that I've experienced as an educator myself. However, so this is the not so rosy part, and this connects a lot to the discussion of the YouTube video that Liz was talking about in terms of how the professor picked out. Well, the professor did a classroom video that was supposed to be collaborative with students, he definitely edited parts of it, and the control over what content was shown and what was not shown was a decision that remained with him. And this is also something that I did not personally experience myself, but I understand that could be something that people would face in their institutions. So I was tremendously excited. I was so excited by what my students did. I thought it was fantastic. I went around trumpeting it from the mountaintops to my senior, to my dean, to the chair of the American Studies program. The chair of the American Studies program is not, you would say, as laissez-faire as I am, and wrote back to me and said, well, it's not that I want to tell you what to do, but, and you can kind of guess that she wasn't happy that I left grading, the idea of grading, mostly in the hands of the students, even though I was there negotiating it with them as well. Basically, she was not happy that I was giving them control of the classroom because she then felt that she would not be able to have power and control over the content, the delivery, the rigor, and what's going on, even though the rigor that's involved in this is way, way, way higher than any of my other classrooms because this is students creating their own levels and dynamics for themselves. So I think that moving beyond these issues institutionally it's going to be a problem for people at every institution. I mean, a lot of us and our colleagues are fundamentally invested in the way that we were taught to teach and that we were taught ourselves. And as I put it one time to a friend of mine, it's like, you will pry my power and authority from my cold dead hands because I've worked so hard for it. So I don't really know ways to move beyond this in terms of, I mean, my students absolutely loved it. They've been doing a really great job so far, everything they've been doing. But whether this can pass muster at a curriculum level with more than one or two converted colleagues is another question.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.